Hey guys, what's up? Um, I don't teach art and stuff on YouTube because uh, usually when people want to learn how to do art, like illustration or animation or whatever, usually it's because they want to get into like the game industry or the illustration industry or whatever, and it's just a bad idea. Um, I would be surprised if there were still as many people as there used to be wanting to get into the game industry and the illustration industry, and the animation industry has always been kind of intense. But uh, so there's a lot to go over. I don't know if I'm going to go over all of it because it's really a lot, but uh, a lot of art advice on YouTube is bad. It's just really bad. Um, some of the technical advice is pretty good, but it's a mixed bag. You're going to get things that are going to be helpful for you and things that are not, and you're going to have to um, kind of go through all of it and figure out what works best for you over time. A lot of the business stuff is honestly just my hair's doing weird stuff. Let's make it do even weirder stuff. Um, a lot of the business stuff is also a mixed bag. Like, there's a lot of woo woo stuff mixed in with like actual good business sense. Some of it is good business advice, but it's hard to know everything that you need to know um, as an artist to become successful. So we've had a few pretty big jumps in the art industry, whatever you want to call it. When I was growing up, I liked to draw. And I went to high school, and they were trying to get me to figure out what I wanted to be when I grow up because in our society, for some reason, we try to get people to figure out what they want to be for the rest of their lives when they're like freaking 18. So I was sitting around art class because I like to draw, and I decided I'll just do this. Uh, this is kind of therapeutic. I like doing it. I can sit around and do it for hours. So we'll just do this for the rest of our lives. And I got serious about it, and I started trying to learn all of the stuff. But uh, I didn't really have the internet yet. Like, the world did have the internet, but I didn't have a smartphone until I was like 21, 2, 3, something like that. And I had a laptop, but also the internet was not quite as advanced as it is now back when I was figuring things out. And so I was really big into video games growing up. Um, I was really big into trading card games when I got a little older because I wasn't allowed to play. My home life growing up was kind of wacky. I wasn't allowed to play Yu-Gi-Oh or Pokemon or any of that because they were the devil or something. Um, my parents had some ideas about things, but later on, me and my friends got into the World of Warcraft trading card game, which was really great. We got almost all of our friends into it, and we were all building decks and stuff. And the thing about that game is that if you've never played a trading card game, the gist is that it's not like a deck of cards that you would play like poker or um, any of those games with Go Fish or whatever. what it is you buy packs of cards, and the packs of cards have a bunch of different kinds of cards in them, and you can build a 60 card deck with those cards, specific one. Like, you have to have the right cards that go together and stuff. And every different kind of trading card game has its own system and rules and stuff. But to keep it within the scope of what we're talking about, there's pictures in the cards. There's like illustrations of monsters and magic spells and stuff. And you use the the picture the pictures don't really matter to the game so much. It's just kind of an illustration of what the card is supposed to be in the game. And it'll have like a bubble of text under the picture that'll tell you what the card does in the game. But I really like the pictures. So and these companies that made these trading card games would get illustrators to make card art, quote unquote, for the cards. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do that, or video games, or book covers, or something like that. I wanted to draw stuff I liked, like fantasy stuff and sci-fi stuff and horror stuff, for a living. And it turns out a lot of people wanted to do that. It wasn't just me. So I started looking up how do I be an illustrator. And the advice that you always get is make a portfolio of roughly 10 images, that are what you want to do. Like, if you're going to do illustration is different than portraits. Like, if you want to be a portraitist, draw a lot of portraits, which is like someone's face or whatever. If you want to be an illustrator, you're not drawing someone's face. What you're doing is you're drawing a scene, like a scene from a movie or a scene from a book or something. That is what an illustration is. And so over time, I learned, okay, so I need to have a portfolio of 10, 15 images, something like that, of like scenes of something, and send that basically to art directors, quote unquote, for different companies or studios that I want to work for, or whoever, really. And that's basically the gist of it. So when I was deciding that I wanted to be an illustrator, I was drawing on paper with pencils and stuff, and colored pencils and stuff, and pens, and I really liked that. And I learned how to paint on paper or canvas or cardboard or whatever, anything flat, really, with acrylics and oil paint or acrylic paint, either one. I was never really big into watercolors, but watercolors are fun too. And I like painting on paper, right? But when I was wanting to become an illustrator, the big thing was everybody was saying you got to do it digitally, because um, it's the industry standard. It's what all the pros do. Which means that you get some software like Photoshop or something, and a drawing pad, which is, there's two different kinds. There's one that's like a mouse, kind of, where um, you put it on the desk next to your computer or whatever, and you draw on it, and you're looking at the cursor on the screen, and where you draw is where the cursor is on the screen, and there's kind of a disconnect, and it doesn't feel very natural. It's not like drawing on paper at all. And the other kind of drawing tablet, is a one with a screen in the tablet, and you draw on the screen, and that is much more natural, but those are also more expensive. And so I spent years trying to learn how to draw digitally instead instead of on paper, which was a nightmare. And honestly, I kind of hated it. I wanted to draw on paper, not on the computer. On the computer, now that I have been drawing on the computer for years and years and years and years and years, it does have its pros. It's not all cons. Like, you can flip the canvas. You can do that with paper too. You just pick the paper up and hold it up to a light backwards so that you can see what your image looks like backwards, which is important because when you're drawing, you're basically making an optical illusion. You're making a flat 2D surface look like a 3D thing. And when you're drawing, your eyes get used to what the thing looks like, but it takes a while to draw. So your eyes are getting used to what the thing looks like unfinished. And what's going to happen is a lot of times when you're drawing and you don't flip the image to look at it backwards, is it's going to be like crooked and lopsided and all messed up. And it's going to look right to you when you're drawing it facing the right way, but when you flip it around, it's going to look terrible. And that's what it looks like to everybody else. So on the computer, that's just like a hotkey. You just hit like control something. I don't know what it is on most programs because I always change it to, I think mine is control X. Um, and there's layers. Like there's really, it's a completely different thing than drawing on paper. Yeah, my one of my biggest problems was, and this is just like my gripe with it, is that like I have so much control over a paintbrush or a pencil or something, and with all of the different like digital brushes on the software, I feel like I have so much less control over my pen brush thing. There's a lot to go over, so we're going to move on. That happened, the digital thing happened. And as a side note, a lot of the illustrators that I looked up to that I wanted to be like, I found out later actually did work traditionally and not digitally, and I probably could have done it that way the entire time. Turns out you don't actually have to work digitally to work in the industry, quote unquote, whatever. I thought you did, so I spent years trying to figure out how to do that, learning that new skill. Um, so that was a big thing that happened, is the whole digital revolution in the illustration world. Um, the next thing that happened was AI. AI happened. It started out, it was pretty bad. It wasn't very good. It's gotten a lot better very quickly. Um, it's gotten to the point, honestly, where like if somebody, and this is part of my overall point of the video, um, but like a small part of it, if someone came to me, if like a new author came to me and wanted me to illustrate a book cover for them, which is a big deal because the book cover really does sell the book. Everybody does really judge the book by the cover. So the illustrator's job making a book cover is very, very important. If somebody came to me and said that they wanted a book cover, I would tell them that the going rate last time I checked was about $800, and that's expensive. And the price has probably gone up since then. And it's probably going to take me about a week to get a really good image. I can do it. So how it would work is I would send you what we call roughs, which is basically sketches of like what we imagine the image will look like eventually, to give you just an idea of what the image will hopefully look like. Um, and I'll keep doing that throughout the process. So I'll do that at first. I'll send you some images so that you can see about what I'm going for, and you can tell me whether or not that aligns with what you imagined the book cover would look like. I can also kind of counsel you on composition. If you had an idea for what the book cover should look like, but it's kind of wonky, from a technical standpoint, I can let you know that and suggest a better route to take as we go through the process. And eventually, in probably about a week, maybe a half a week, depending on what I've got going on, I should be able to have you a book cover. But you can literally get on an AI image generator and get pretty much the same result, um, just as much of a quality image in about 2 seconds. And you'll get probably a bunch of them that you can pick from. And if you don't like those, you can change the prompt and get another set of images that you can pick from, and you can tweak them for free. And a lot of these image generators don't even have a watermark. And even if they do have a watermark, you can get it removed for like a few bucks. And if you're having any trouble with it, I can help you with it for free real quick, and we can get you a book cover roughly for free. And you don't have to pay me $1,000 and wait a week for one image. Uh, and to be real, I have no problem with that. As someone who wanted to be an illustrator, I have no problem with where technology has come. I think it's great. I play with AI image generators all the time. A lot of artists who were trying to become professionals and make a lot of money got really upset with the advent of AI and all of that. And I get it, but uh, at the same time, that's like getting mad at technology for making certain tasks um, automated, like automating certain tasks. Sorry, I got a text and I got distracted. Um, so in my research and studies trying to figure out how to get jobs in this industry and I mean, like, I tried to figure this out for years. um, I think probably the biggest thing holding me back was having to learn how to draw digitally, because that was a huge um, tripping point for me for some reason. A lot of people pick it up and it's no big deal. I think that the problem was that I started traditionally and it's so different, moving to digital, that I just could not do it for years and years. I've gotten better at it, but starting out, it looked horrible and that was discouraging. But while I was studying, thinking that it was me, that I was the reason that I couldn't get any work, I was I, some of the guys that I looked up to growing up that did these cool images that I loved, and like the people that I wanted to be like when I grew up. Some of them started making YouTube channels and stuff, and interviewing each other, because some of them work together on the same kind of projects, or in the same, like, for the same companies or in the same studios or whatever. And they were all saying that the industry is kind of a mixed bag. You, you can look it up. Pretty much anybody who has worked in the games industry is going to say that it is like rough. It is super competitive. There's a lot of layoffs, and it's not new. It's kind of always been like that. Not maybe not to this degree, but like for years and years, it's kind of been that way. And the card art, like how I was saying, I wanted to do trading cards. Um, that's kind of rough too. Like, it doesn't pay very well, is what they were saying. I don't know personally, because like I was saying, I've never been in these industries. I never got to that point before I decided to kind of go my own way, because a lot of them were saying they're just going to go their own way now and make their own projects and do their own thing, because the industry is kind of god awful. And so that kind of circles back to why I don't teach art on YouTube, because honestly, I probably could, and might be roughly successful at it, and might even help some people. But what ended up happening is a lot of artists back at the time, the big thing was Instagram. Everybody was saying use Instagram, get on Instagram. People blow up on Instagram. You can build a following on Instagram, and Instagram is basically for images. Like you draw something, you put not only the finished image, but like the roughs and like um, time lapses and like the basically the why do I not have the word right now? I can't speak English anymore. I've been talking to myself too much today. The process. You put pick like milestones of the process on Instagram in like a story or whatever. And that's supposed to help grow you a following, and you can post all kinds of posts. The more you post, the better. I tried that, kind of got bored with it. Um, but a lot of them also got on YouTube. It was about the time that YouTube was really, really blowing up, like past the Jenna Marbles era of the beginning of YouTube and on to where like YouTube starts to get saturated and a lot of people get on it. A lot of artists got on it and started, I think, naturally. I don't think that it was necessarily their intention, but the, I think there's kind of a natural inclination to teach when you get on YouTube. You kind of have like an inverse authority bias, sort of like you're talking to the masses and tons of people are listening to you, so you must know what you're talking about. So you start teaching stuff. You make like how-to videos and stuff. It's just kind of the first thing you think of when you start a YouTube channel. Like, let's show other people how to do stuff that I know how to do. So some artists would get on YouTube and start teaching people like, this is how you draw this is how you draw that. And the thing is that that is how they were making their money. These artists, they made their money. They're making their money by teaching you how to draw, not necessarily by getting into the industry. They're making their money teaching you how to get into the industry, not actually getting into the industry. Because getting into the industry it's kind of just not a good idea for most people. Um, and I think that there's probably going to be some kind of revolution or something. Um, like this is kind of outside the scope of what we're talking about, and this video is already like 20 something minutes long. But the like consoles in gaming are kind of um, I don't know the word really, but and I'm not saying I'm going to predict the future or anything, but consoles are having problems right now, and consoles were a gigantic chunk of the market. PCs, like a good PC, is kind of expensive. You can run most games on like a laptop or something, but another big problem is that games are getting so big, like AAA games and stuff, that people are moving more toward indie games and stuff. So the industry itself is changing, and not necessarily in a great way. So I'm not just shit talking the industry or whatever. I'm saying that like I've looked into it, and from what I've been able to gather, you probably don't want that if you are, an aspiring professional artist or whatever. Freelancing is another thing. Like my thing was that I wanted to be a freelancer. I didn't want to move to wherever the studio was or whatever. But freelancing is a whole like you have to have like business sense and stuff, which I just don't have. I could develop it, but I don't. I'm not entirely convinced that my brain even works that way. So maybe. I mean, I'm working on it. I'm just not good at it yet. Um, so a lot of these people teaching people how to be artists on YouTube are like that is kind of where the money has gone with art. Like you're going to make easier money teaching other people how to try to get jobs than actually trying to get the jobs yourself. You can get monetized on YouTube and sell some merch and a whole bunch of tutorials and stuff, and you basically become like a self-help guru, basically. And I'm not saying that there are no art jobs or that art jobs are too hard to get or whatever. Now the art industry is very, very saturated and very, very competitive, overly competitive, really. But but AI did not take over the art industry, really. I mean, the one thing about AI is like it can do a lot, but what it can't really do is like your style. It can only really do what it's trained on, which is probably not your work. Now, there were some artists that were big and successful before AI came that AI did get trained on, but even for them, like your style as an artist changes over time. It's a never ending development. Like you practice makes perfect ish. With more practice, you get better and better and better. So your style is constantly enhancing. You're constantly getting better at doing your thing your way. And AI is not going to be able to do your style in the way that you can do it, you know, better than, I mean, they like it could maybe get close. So you can make like a really, really, really spot on prompt, maybe put some like reference images in there for it to work with, and it could probably get close, but it's not going to replicate your, secret sauce one to one. If your style is well developed. Now, I have no beef with like other, people on YouTube that do art stuff. Like a lot of them are fun to watch. Um, and I'm not saying that they don't do professional work when they're not doing YouTube, because a lot of them do. What I'm saying is that it 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 kind of like a lot of it, not all of it, a lot of it kind of bumps into like self-help guru territory with all the tutorials and the like stuff like that. Um, if you do want to learn how to draw, um, like if I were to teach somebody how to draw, what I would start with is start with either pencil and paper, like traditionally, or go with digital. Do one or the other, it doesn't matter, or both. Both is good. Make sure that your pressure settings on the drawing pad are correct so that you can get your values and stuff the way you want them. Um, the settings in digital art is kind of a big part of it. You kind of have to get those right off the bat before you can really make the kind of art that you want to make. And I would say, for one, draw what you like. Make the kind of art that you like, that you actually like, um, because that's kind of the whole point. And that's kind of the whole point for your audience too, for your customers. People want cool stuff. People want beauty and cool stuff. So when I was a kid, I liked to draw dinosaurs because I thought they were just like the most aesthetically pleasing thing that I could think of, and they're cool. So if you like drawing dinosaurs, draw dinosaurs. If you like drawing dragons, draw dragons. If you like drawing pretty girls, draw pretty girls. I don't think anybody's gonna be upset that they see a pretty girl in your feed. Um, and also draw what you see. Like when people get started, they have a tendency to draw things like their symbols. Like if I were to tell you to draw a coffee cup with no reference, you would probably draw a pretty good like coffee cup. Um, it might not be great at first, but if I told you to spend an hour drawing a coffee cup, it would probably look somewhat better. And then if I gave you a reference picture and told you to draw that specific coffee cup, but take an hour to do it, um, then you'd be getting probably pretty close to what a coffee cup actually looks like, and you'll know what I talk. You'll know what I'm talking about when you start trying to practice drawing. Like when you first start out, it's going to be kind of not cartoony really, because cartoonist stuff is its own whole thing. Um, but it's going to be like sort of like a symbol, like a hieroglyphic or a cave drawing. You know what I mean? It's not going to look like what it does in real life. It's going to look like a representation of itself, sort of. But if I give you a reference picture of like a stop sign, and I tell you, spend an hour drawing a stop sign, um, that's much harder than a coffee cup. But you'll eventually get to the point where you can draw the stop sign and you can make it look exactly like it does in the picture when you get good at it. That's photorealism. You and I personally would say that is a big necessary milestone in your development as an artist. To be real, you don't need to be that good at drawing to get art jobs, illustration jobs and stuff, but it does help you from like a professional, like if you actually want to be good at your craft, um getting better at it is obviously the best thing to do. um but that's not even where it stops. Photorealism isn't where it stops. After you can do photorealism, then you start developing your own style, and that is what separates you from other artists and AI. So that's kind of where you hit like professional level, is when you can draw just about anything and make it look real, you know, but then take it farther and make it your own. That's kind of what you're aiming for, um, the whole time, really. Uh, and composition, like composition is important. Learn the elements and principles of art. It's a list of things that, like, concepts to understand. There's like the rule of thirds. There's this thing, I think it's called the golden mean or something off the top of my head. Nobody uses it. Just use the rule of thirds, which is basically you take like a tic-tac-toe board and put it over your art, and it'll have like, two lines and two lines going across. And you want, it kind of ties into like the principles of art, like rhythm and harmony and balance and all that stuff that I don't remember off the top of my head. But you kind of want the composition to fit those lines. So like if you have, like, say you're doing a landscape and you have a tree that's prominent in the piece, it would be nice if it was like right here roughly, or right here, you know. And you don't want the piece to be too symmetrical. You also don't want it to be off balance. I'm starting to rant about art stuff, so I'm gonna go. um, like and subscribe, I guess. If you want to support me and the channel, that would help me a lot. I'm trying to get monetized. um, and comment. I like getting y'all's comments and seeing what you guys think about things, and getting y'all's point of view on different topics and stuff. And I will see you guys later. Have a good one. Bye.